Hi, welcome. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. This is where we talk about all things innovation, tech, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing. And there's a lot going on in Hawaii, and this is the place we like to share them with you. And our first guest today has been a guest on the show before, a while ago, almost when we first started the show. Emaley McCulloch from ATS. Advanced Training Solutions?
Yes.
Okay. And since she's been on the show last time, her company has been acquired. And that's great news. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so exciting. So briefly, for those of us who don't know, what is Advanced Training Solutions? Just a quick reminder.
Sure, yeah. Advanced Training Solutions was formerly Autism Training Solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a technology company that creates online training for the autism industry. And so basically anyone who wants to learn how to work with children or individuals with autism, they could go on the site and they could take online tutorials. And the tutorials are video based, so you'll actually see, so you'll actually see children with autism and their teachers and their therapists working with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see situations and behaviors that might be challenging, and they'll break those videos down into tutorials and show professionals and teachers and parents what to do.
Wow, that's great. Is it available for everybody
Mm-hmm.
who wants to see it? Yeah?
Yep.
So like parents, if parents need to know how to deal with, I guess, whatever they're going through.
Yes.
If they have kids, they
Mm-hmm.
can watch. Is it, do they have to pay for the service, or?
If an organization uses ATS and they purchase it for their staff, like for example, if an organization who provides paraprofessionals or therapists
Mm-hmm.
to work with individuals with autism, if the organization, all of their clients, the parents would get access to it for free.
Oh,
but if
great.
a parent's just searching online, they would need to buy it.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Do you have customers in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. We do.
That's great. Very good. And how did you build ATS? How did you fund it? How did you even make it into a position where it's something that could be acquired? Sorry,
No, it's okay.
It wasn't worded so well, but
Well, first of all, I'm not a business. I didn't start out being a business person.
yeah.
I really love working with children with autism, and so I started out just really passionate about working with individuals and seeing how much growth and how much improvement they can make when they have teachers that know how to work with them and how to implement research-based strategies. And the research-based strategies that work for children with autism are not rocket science. They're really basic principles such as reinforcement and shaping and contingencies that parents and teachers can implement that can make such a big change. And so when I've worked in Hawaii for 12 years, and 8 of those years I was working in the schools and in clinics with parents, and I also had the opportunity to go to Japan and help start a school in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was just getting really excited about how to disseminate this information. And so because the internet and technology was really growing, and this was back in 2007, 2008, me and a colleague, her name is Amy Wish, we got together and we said, we need to get this online. We need to get this online, and we need to make it so it's step-by-step instructions, and we need to use video because then people can see the progress the children make. So in 2008, we founded Autism Training Solutions. And from there, really, we were really blessed to just meet the right people. So we were 2 educators, behavior analysts that had a vision, and we just happened to present it to an angel investor that we personally knew.
Wow.
That lives in Hawaii.
That's great.
And I don't know what he saw in us, but he saw potential.
Did you have something online already when you approached the...
No, we had our vision. We had a business plan that we kind of threw together, and it was a terrible outline of a business plan at first, you know, and you know, he looked at it, but he saw something there. He marked it up with a red pen and said, "You need to have this, and there needs to be this and this and this," and sent it back to us. We fixed it, and he started us off. And
that's
we
great.
started recording. We started designing the courses. We hired developers, and within a year and a half, we had a prototype of a product.
That's great.
And then from there, what we really needed was to market it. And we didn't have, our vision was really was outside of Hawaii. I mean, definitely in Hawaii, but we knew that if we wanted to make an impact and reach and grow the business, that we needed to branch outside of Hawaii. So our next step, once we had a prototype, is we hired a director of marketing. And that was a really important step. We hired a person that we found through like LinkedIn, and she had just come to the islands, and she had worked for startups before. Her name was Janet Martin. And right away we started networking, going to conferences like industry, within the industry of autism and applied behavior analysis. And basically just sitting down with anybody who would listen to us to show them what we made.
Wow.
Some people would sit down and they would kind of say, "Oh, thank you," and we never saw them again. And some people would sit down and see what we were trying to do and be supportive and like, "Wow, this is great. Here, I can introduce you to this person or this person."
That's great.
Right away, I learned a lot about marketing and sales. I learned a lot about having to just call people that I didn't know and do a pitch.
Wow.
Which was out of my comfort zone. And the grassroots of our sales really was myself and this director of marketing who, I mean, she was like a VP level person, but she was sitting down with me making cold calls.
Wow.
And that's just the way startups go.
Yeah. Did your angel funding take you all the way through? Like you were able to hire with that money?
Yes.
Wow.
So,
That's great.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't like VC level at all, so everything was very shoestring budget in the beginning.
Because you weren't bringing any revenue in yet, right?
No, it took a solid 2 years before some revenue was coming in. So the first 2 years of the business, I was still working in the field of autism, working with children and having clients, because I wasn't paying myself.
Yeah.
But it was good for me to be involved in that because it still kept me very passionate about our mission. And then we got to a point where we were making money, so then and it was very time consuming, so it was the time for me to start working full time for ATS.
Okay, so after the first 2 years. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so once we were making money, I mean, it took a while for us to make money more than we were spending. So that was another hurdle to get over. But yeah, that's where we were.
I bet. How long did that take for you to become positive in cash flow? Like,
it was just a year before we were acquired.
Wow. Okay.
So when we get to that topic, the acquisition was a lot earlier, was very unexpected than we had anticipated.
Was that in your mind already when you first started, when you kind of started building it, that you wanted your business to be acquired?
No.
Not necessarily?
No, and honestly, it wasn't because I didn't want to be acquired. It was that it just wasn't in my skill repertoire. I didn't know how that worked, and to me, I was like, why would I want to give this over to someone if I build it up? And then when I started running the business and learning more about international business or national business, and running a small company in a small office from Hawaii, that we weren't going to be able to become what we needed to become just by ourselves. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I came to that realization, but I didn't think it was going to come as soon as it did.
Wow. And so how did that happen? How did the acquisition happen?
So we had a really great year in 2013. So it was our first year that we came. We had made a profit, and we had doubled our clients, and our sales team was performing really high, and we published some research. And so it was our first year, and we actually celebrated by taking all of the team to an industry conference all together in New Orleans. And
nice.
we celebrated, and just right around that time, right before we did that, we had a company approach us, and we've had a few companies approach us before, and we usually we would just talk to them for a while, and most of the time they would be like, oh, you're too small. Oh, we'll wait for a couple years, you're not making enough money yet. And so we would just talk to them because they're approaching us, and we would be curious, well, what is it that you're looking for?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, one thing that I learned is when you start a company, and most people are not like me, they probably start companies with a clear understanding of when they want to exit. That wasn't the case for myself because I wasn't experienced in that area. But if I could do it again, I would definitely make a plan of like, all right, this is the time and effort I'm putting into this. If this company came and offered this, what would be enough? In what situation? Because it's not always about the purchase. It's also about the right fit for your company, who's going to propel it, who's going to take it to the next level, who's going to take what you've created and make it better. So what are those variables for you? Like, what type of company are you looking for? And I hadn't thought much about that before they approached. And so it kind of like caused all of us to kind of get together and like have to think about hard about it. Like, because a lot of people that sell their companies, they build it, and then they're like, okay, we're ready to start. So then they go to investment banking firms and get them to start looking for different opportunities. That's not the way we went.
Yeah. Huh. So potentially, if nobody had come to ask, you would just keep running it and try to grow it as best you could.
And then we would have probably gotten to a point where we were like, okay, we can't do this anymore on our own from Hawaii. And at that point, we probably would have approached professionals to help us look for organizations to be a part of. But we didn't get to that point.
Yeah, so you guys must have been doing something right if people were coming to you.
It's nice to think of it that way, but I think it's also the timing of the industry, and it's all about timing.
Oh yeah?
So the industry of ABA and autism right now is, and if you look into M&A or merger and acquisition research and some of the things that they're looking into right now. Behavioral health care and healthcare organizations are pretty active right now. And so
the larger companies are kind of acquiring,
right, and merging, yeah. And in terms of autism, one of the big propellers for this is in many states, in actually 38 states, there's legislation being passed to requiring insurance companies to cover treatment.
Wow.
And the treatment that is being covered is applied behavior analysis. And applied behavior analysis is a well-researched intervention, but it has not been previously covered through insurance providers. So it's really, now that it is, it's really growing, because now professionals can be reimbursed for it, and families
by
can
insurance.
go. Yeah, and families can go and get. And so companies that provide these services are expanding into these.
And so what you offer qualifies.
Right, and so the training we offer helps them grow faster. So it provides that staff training, so it onboards people, and so it helps them. So because of the timing of this and the legislation passing, and also just the growth of autism and that being in the news a lot, and funding going in that direction, and Medicaid starting to cover more of those types of treatments, there's going to be a higher demand. And large companies anticipate those things, and then that's when they start looking for
people with solutions. Very cool. We're going to take a quick break. It's very interesting. My guest today is Emaley McCulloch of Relias Learning Now, and this is High Growth with HTDC. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thanks.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevelin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. That's Ted Ralston. You know, Ted is the host of Where the Road Leads. It shows every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. It's about technology. It's about how people collaborating and solve problems with modern technology. It's where the road leads. We all know that. We should all be listening. Join us there, 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday. Now, what about that do you agree with?
All of it.
I knew he'd say that. Aloha. Say aloha.
Aloha.
Good.
Hi, welcome back. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and my guest today is Emaley McCulloch of ATS. But we're going to go over some of the goings-on around town, and there's a lot going on, especially this week. So January 28th, that is tomorrow, the Hawaii State Library will be hosting a patent and trademark searching workshop. Find out what you need to do to protect your IP and hear lessons learned from other business owners. This is a full-day workshop, and it's free, and it's going to be at the Aiea Public Library, featuring Neil Masong and Tim Turner of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, as well as HTDC's very own Len Higashi, Joe Burns from SBDC, and Jaina Uehara from the Business Action Center. Registration is required, so please call 586-3477 to ensure your spot. Hopefully there's still openings, actually. Try giving them a call if you're still interested. Also on January 28th, after the patent workshop, head on over to Wetware Wednesday at the courtyard in front of Manoa Gardens on UH Manoa's campus. UH's Department of Information and Computer Science is sponsoring the event, as well as AT&T. We'll hear from Professor Dr. Scott Robertson on how social media is affecting our decision-making, as well as we'll learn about AT&T's hackathon, which is going to take place February 13th through the 14th. So that's coming up soon. Save the date. On January 29th, if you'd like to be part of the discussion on policy and this year's legislation and how it will affect our innovation and tech ecosystem, please join HTDC and the Hawaii Innovation Alliance at the Proto Hub from 5 to 7. That's Thursday, the 29th. For businesses and entrepreneurs who need some quick legal advice, every other Wednesday, HTDC offers free legal guidance in partnership with the Business Law Corps. You can sign up for a 30-minute appointment at the Manoa Innovation Center. Please visit htdc.org/legal to sign up. And I wanted to let our entrepreneur community know that we have office space available at the Manoa Innovation Center. We offer a collaborative community, co-work spaces, office services, and great programs for starting businesses. For more information, please visit our site at htdc.org. And lastly, calling all SBIR Phase 1 winners. HTDC offers the state's matching fund for up to 50% of your Phase 1 award. So if that's you and you've won a Phase 1 SBIR recently, please contact us at sbir@htdc.org. All right, lots of announcements. And back to our guest, Emaley McCulloch of Relias Learning, right?
Yes.
And previously ATS.
Yes.
And we were talking about how you were acquired. And so you were saying how if you had to do it all over, you would start earlier considering what kind of company you're looking for to acquire you. So what stood out about Relias that made them different from the other companies that were approaching you?
Yeah. So Relias Learning, I'll tell you a little bit about them. They are an online education company. They provide online training. They have a learning management system that has millions of users.
Wow.
Well, I think that's millions of course views, but thousands of users. And they provide online training to the industries of healthcare. So
That sounds perfect.
yeah, so they their industries include senior care, mental health, addictions, child services, as well as community safety, and also intellectual and developmental disabilities, and now autism. So we joined that group of industries. So it was a really good fit.
Yeah.
Their mission was very similar to ours, and that was disseminating effective strategies for people that are underserved or the most vulnerable members of society.
Wow.
So we fit into their mission.
And they didn't have anything for autism yet.
They had some very basic courses, but they didn't have anything that was really geared towards applied behavior analysis and the growth that's being seen in that industry right now. So they were really looking at acquiring a company right then because they were looking to serve a need. So they were they were looking at us, and also if they were either going to build something themselves or acquire a competitor. So right away, for strategically, we're thinking, okay, we can continue and do our own thing if we choose not to join Relias. But then we're also going to be competing with Relias Learning. And they have a large impact. They have thousands of customers.
Wow. And how big is Relias?
They have over 300 employees.
Wow, so big.
And they're based out of North Carolina in the Raleigh-Durham area. They have so they approached us and said that this is they're in their strategic plans. They said, this is what we're doing.
Wow.
We see you as the leading company in this industry right now. So
That's great.
yeah. And so we met with them a lot, and obviously, and we flew out there to meet them. We looked at their leadership team and met their leadership team and discussed their goals moving forward, and it really to us, it looked like a company that valued what we were doing. And the other alternative was the other companies that we could have looked at bringing ATS on would be like healthcare centers, like companies that provide services.
Oh.
And they want to grow outside and provide technology.
Huh.
And that was another area we looked into, but it didn't seem to really put a lot of emphasis on technology growth because their focus was on providing services. So the Relias Learning was a better fit.
Sounded like they would have a bigger impact, a bigger reach.
Yeah, and they were able to take what we had created and kind of just put it right into their offering.
Wow.
And their technology, their learning management system was amazing.
Yeah.
It was better than ours. And so it was an improvement for our customers. So our customers that moved over to their system, they got a better service and better like bells and whistles and stuff like that.
Wow, that's great. How was the transition once you were acquired? What was that like? What happened to the company?
Yeah, that was an experience.
I bet. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's bittersweet as a business owner. It's hard. It's very up and down experience because you're kind of letting go of something. People compare it to like letting your child's getting married and they're going. And I've never experienced that because my children are still little, but I could relate. I guess I could see how you can relate
something like that.
Yeah,
Huh.
and you know, you are taking a culture, a startup culture, and then you're having to integrate it into a company who's
Like a corporation.
With over 300 people, and so we were 9. There were 9 of us, and when we all integrated into Relias, we kind of all spread out into different departments because all of us
had different
we had different jobs and we had many hats we wore, and it's different. At Relias, everyone kind of has their job, and there's not a lot of hat shifting. Like everyone kind of does their thing. Where than a startup company, you know, you're doing bookkeeping and this and this and that. So I think it's a transition for everyone.
Wow. And then, I mean, there was 9 of you. Did all 9 of you have a say in, you know, whether or not it was going to happen, or was it you and your partner decided and then let the company know?
It was so yeah. There was 4 partners.
Okay.
Yeah. So angel investor or 2 angel investors, and then myself, and then the original co-founder, Amy. So it was the 4 of us, and two of those 4 were in the day-to-day workings of ATS. So there were really 2 out of the 9 that were in the office every day that really participated in the acquisition. So it was really hard one of the hardest parts was because with an acquisition, you never know if it's really going to happen because there's a lot.
Really? Throughout the whole process?
It
could just fall apart?
Yes. So from day one, we were working with a consultant throughout the whole process because there's so many things you need to know.
So like an acquisition consultant?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So it's like an investment
Interesting.
banker. And from day one, they said, okay, at this point, they have made an offer, and you guys are interested. It's piqued your interest. It's probably 95% that it's not going to happen. There's probably a 5% chance that this will happen at this point.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, why are we paying you then? So then, you know, several steps down the road, he's like, okay, at this point, now there's maybe like a 20% chance that this is going to happen. And so as you go through the process, at any point, anybody can just back out based on negotiations or certain things that you would like to ask for.
In the terms.
And yeah, all those terms. And
So was he the mediator between you and Relias, this consultant?
yes.
Oh,
So we had
okay.
him really working with us through each step of the process, and of course an attorney on each step of the process.
Wow.
And then what was really hard was to kind of keep that from the team, because if the team knew that that's what we were doing, it would, it would cause some uncertainty for the team members.
Wow.
So that was really hard, and it was really difficult because a startup, when you work in a startup, it's very transparent. Like you're all in this little office, and you're putting your numbers up on the board every day, and everyone knows
What's
like,
going
what's
on.
going on.
Yeah.
You can't hide. I mean, you're on the phone in the next room, everyone hears it. So it was really hard not for the team to see that, and it was hard for us because we felt like we weren't being transparent. But legally, you're not supposed to. When you're going through an acquisition, you're not supposed to disclose it.
Wow. Huh.
So that was challenging. I didn't know that was part of it.
So it couldn't involve the rest of the team. It just had to be. Wow. I had a question for you. How did the team react when you did finally tell them?
I think in the beginning, it was definitely different based on each person, because everyone has a unique personality and their unique vested interest, and so it was unique for each individual. But the day of the announcement was one of the hardest days of my life.
Wow. I think especially because you went into building the company without the mindset that, we're going to sell, right? And so I think that was the culture.
It was
of
the
what you built.
culture, and some people asked me, when they were part of the company, are you going to sell this? And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, that's not really right now.
Yeah.
Every startup, you're going to say, well, I mean, if something comes along that's great enough, of course. But when you're a startup, you're not really thinking, especially that when it's your very first year, even making a profit.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So when it came, I
Yeah.
think everyone was really surprised.
Yeah.
And this company, Relias Learning, they had that's what really they're doing. Their growth model is acquisition. So they had taken on several acquisitions, and so it felt kind of mechanical, and so that was hard to get the team to feel as accepted and passionate about. And for some people, it hasn't turned out that way. And for some, they found their niche within this company because it's a different culture. It's like getting a brand new job.
Wow. But they picked up everybody. That's great. That's really good. Oh, there's so many more questions I want to ask, but I think we need to wrap.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for sharing. I mean, it sounds like it was a crazy and learning, but hopefully a good experience.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
And is there
experience.
another startup in your future?
I would love to, but right now it's very recent. It was just the summer, so there's still a lot of work that it needs to do. And that's the other thing. It takes a lot of time after to get everything transitioned. So still in the middle of that.
Wow, very exciting. But I think that's a great success story.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. And thank you for supporting our entrepreneur ecosystem and ThinkTech Hawaii. This is High Growth with HTDC, and I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and my guest today has been Emaley McCulloch of ATS. Thanks so much.